Wonderful. The yin yoga practice is a little bit unique in how we move our body and how we actually approach each of our postures. So tonight, perhaps your greatest challenge will be to not look for any more depth or any more stretch, but rather to allow as much softness as you can. We'll begin the practice just here lying on your back with a breath practice called box breathing. So I want you to visualize the shape of a box in your mind's eye. Let's empty all of the breath out of the body and begin to inhale for the count of 4, as if you were traveling up one side of the box. Holding at the top for the count of 4. And as you're exhaling, imagine your breath traveling down the other side of the box, that count of 4. Holding the breath outside as you observe the bottom of the box completely empty. The inhale for 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale 4, 3, 2. Hold outside 4, 3, 2. Again, inhale for 4. Soften the face. Hold for 4. Relax the shoulders. Exhale for 4. Soften the belly. Hold outside for 4. Settle the hips. In for the count of 4. Holding for 4. Exhaling for 4. Holding outside for 4. Begin to draw the breath in naturally now through the tip of the nose and letting it fall away. Taking control of the breath at the beginning of the practice allows us to take back a little bit of control of the mind. And throughout the practice today, we're going to let go of all control. So you might take a moment here, just rock your head from side to side, or allow the knees to hug into the chest, whatever feels good. As you feel into where your body's at. How's the breath landing in your body? And then when you're ready, making your way over to one side. Just lying on one side of the body, just for a moment here, pausing. And taking your time to press yourself up when you're ready to a comfortable, tall, seated posture. Go ahead and keep the eyes soft, even if they do blink slightly open. You might like to sit on either a couch cushion or a bed pillow if that feels better for you, just to support your hips. We're going to feel for the belly actually going a little bit soft here. And as we breathe in, let the belly fill and the arms reach, the head drip back. The palms come to meet, and exhale, guide them down in front of the heart. We'll do that again. Inhale, the arms just reach, the belly soft, full. The palms meet, And exhale, pass down through third eye, through lips, through heart. Once more, inhale. Exhale. Beautiful. Now, most of our practice this evening will either be sitting or lying down, but for the first posture, we will be in an upright posture. So I'm just going to show you because I don't actually want you to come all the way up to standing. Instead, you'll find yourself in full point kneeling. You don't have to come with me just yet, but we're not actually going to let our upper body come all the way to standing. We're going to find a very generous bend in the knees where you might even find your belly resting on your thigh. You can find your hands on the floor or holding to the opposite elbow. So let's start to move forward together. This is the only posture that I'm going to speak quite a lot during. So bring your hands on the floor, knees under the hips, feeling into your body first. How does it feel? Does it feel nice and soft and relaxed? With the toes curled, take your time, and as you roll back into the feet, I want you to feel as each part of the bottom of the foot starts to land on the mat. And when you reach the back of the heels onto the earth, let yourself just settle. Now, if that floor is a little bit further away from you, you might slide those books or pillows under your hands if you prefer to take a little bit more support, or you allow yourself to hang, holding onto the elbows. Please, it's really important here that you have a very generous bend in the knees. That means knees are bent a lot. The top of the head is hanging all the way down, and we're not actually going to take any extra movement here. So can you start to settle into that nice, calm, steady rhythm of breath that you found just when you were lying? Now, the unique part of the yin yoga practice is that it asks us to find our edge in a pose. That doesn't mean where we're working really hard or where we're feeling a lot of discomfort and pain, just an edge. So the first point that you feel sensation. So for many of us, we're going to need to soften a little bit away. I was a little bit sneaky in not telling you how long we hold these shapes for. Yeah? So in yin, we traditionally hold poses for about 3 to 5 minutes. Now, don't worry, we're friends here. I want you to come back, so I won't do that to you tonight. But what I do want you to find is, as you arrive into each posture tonight, check in. Could I stay here for 10 or 15 minutes? And if the answer is no, I want to make it easier, more gentle. That might mean putting my hands down on the floor or props, bending my knees more. But the yin yoga practice works with just a few very basic pillars. So we work with our edge. We hold the posture for long duration in stillness. And what you'll find is that the posture goes past just the muscle and starts to release the connective tissue. Now, I know that I've started you off with a rather challenging pose so that you appreciate all of the ones to come. See if you can stay here now in silence, in stillness, with just the sound of your breath for 4 more rounds of breath. Now slowly bend the knees even more until the hands can reach down to the ground. Walk the hands out a little bit in front of you or the feet back, just so you can bring yourself back to all fours or tabletop position. As you inhale, arch through the spine, yawn the heart open. And as you exhale, round to the spine, scoop into the belly, and just repeat a couple more times. So your inhale is just opening up the front side of the spine. The exhale, opening up the back. Beautiful. And now we'll move into our first heart opening or spinal extension pose. So you want to keep your knees stacked under your hips. Bum is not going to go backwards. And instead, walk your hands out in front of you. Soften your chest down. And if it feels okay, you're going to rest your forehead and even come up to the tips of the fingers. Now, our idea here is to lift the elbows, the forearms, and the wrists away from the mat. Allow the sternum or the breastbone, even the front ribs, to start to soften down towards the mat. Keep the hips lifted and stacked on top of the knees. And again, can you allow yourself to find some stillness? Can you find softness? Try to lift the upper arms, the elbows, the forearms and wrists away from the floor. So you'll notice where you're working right now to find a balance between effort and ease. You'll have just another 3 breaths here. Slowly allow the hips to sink back to the heels. And you can rest, whether it feels better to keep the arms extended forward or rest the hands down by your heels. We'll stay here for just about 4 or 5 rounds of breath. In the yin yoga practice, we'll oftentimes use what we call a rebound, a posture where it seems as though we're just taking a little nap or a little break. The rest of those rebound poses will be lying flat. And sometimes we use a little bit of movement just to help bring ourselves back, recalibrate. Please do take your time to slowly come all the way up to a tall seat. Now tonight, gang, I'm not going to mirror you. I'm going to do the same side. So we'll all take our right leg and cross our right leg over the left. I want you to feel like you're actually making an X with your 2 shins and then rest them down. So you'll keep the shins and ankles further away from you than a normal cross-leg position. And then lift up from the chest, lengthen up to the spine, and then start to walk just a little bit forward. You'll pause, keeping the spine really long, yeah? So if we were in any other style of yoga class, we would work with a bit of effort here to extend our spine. The difference with our yin practice is now we're going to let everything soften. Let go of any tension or resistance to hold ourselves there, and you'll let yourself completely hang. If you don't feel supported hanging, you could use a block, a pillow, a couple of books to rest your forehead on, or you just allow yourself to hang. But again, one of our most important pillars of the yin yoga practice is to find stillness. Soften in. Release any gripping in the jaw. Let the neck begin to come unhinged. As if your upper body is like a wet blanket melting over top of your lap. You're just settling. Allowing your breath to soften but deepen. In stillness, there is harmony. And in harmony, there's stillness. Go ahead and slowly lift the torso up ever so slightly. You're going to walk towards your left side with the hand, anchoring your right hip down. Now you'll walk a little further. So it feels like your chest or sternum is resting on top of your left knee. Just softening. Walk your right fingertips further away, left fingertips further away, and start to feel that length down your whole right side body. We're only here for a few breaths. Slowly, we'll walk back through center, and then walk the hands all the way up. Now you have the choice to keep the legs as they are, or stack the right knee a little bit more on top of the left. They don't need to look perfect, but either working the right knee a little more on top of the left or keeping them in that X. You'll place your left fingertip or palm of hand down and let the right arm rest on the right ear. Then you'll slowly start to tip over and lean. Now remember, it's not like a normal stretch. We're not going as far as we can right away. We stop just when we feel sensation. Can you close down your eyes? And I want you to start to scan throughout your body. Where do I feel sensation? What kind of sensation is there? Is there some heat or tingling? Is there some pushing or pulling? They're shaking. And this practice helps us to become a little bit more curious about what's going on in our body, as well as in our mind. And that it allows us to practice between this stimulus, that strong sensation you're feeling. There's a space before the response, before we quickly adjust or move. And it's in that space between the stimulus and the response that we have a choice. So by learning to pause in that space before we react, we have the choice. Notice here if you've softened more, if there's more space available and you wish to drop deep. Notice if that arm or shoulder is really talking to you and if you're fighting with yourself to stay. If you need to release it, you've paused, you've considered it, and then you soften to release. And then maybe you come back. And then slowly feel yourself up. Ooh-wee, right? Give yourself a moment. And then go ahead and extend the legs out. So we're going to be in a lying posture now. We're going to take that moment of stillness to rebound. So that's where you just lie down. You don't need any props with you right now. You just come to what we call a little mini Shavasana. Take as little disturbance as possible. Can you settle straight in? And welcome that natural rhythm of your breath as now only the right side of the body has been stimulated and now has an opportunity to release. Gently begin to draw the right knee into the chest. We'll pause for a moment with the fingers just interlacing around the right shin. We'll just pause here. Can we feel the back of the head supported? Both shoulder blades resting down. And if that left leg doesn't want to stay straight, you can bend it and place the left foot flat. Now we take the right knee wider than the rib cage and then slide the right hand up behind the back of the right calf or the back of the right ankle. So your right hand is holding outside of the right ankle. Right knee is wider than the rib cage. And I want you to think as if you are pulling your toes a little bit to the back of the room behind you. Great. So the right knee will be wider than your ribs. And now you're going to invite the right knee down, as if the right knee could touch the floor outside of your rib cage. Ah, that's it, guys. Great. So from the side, this right leg looks like it's making a 90-degree angle. Right knee is falling towards the floor outside of the ribs. That's not meant to happen for all of us. And the sole of the right foot faces to the ceiling. Good. Now, I know learning some of these new shapes is a lot of a thinking process. Don't overthink it. Nothing that we do tonight has anything of a looking perfect, but what does it feel like? Does it bring about a sense of introspection? Am I curious about how my body, mind, or energy begin to feel? And then you'll just release the hand so that the right knee comes up now, as if the right knee is stacked on top of the right hip. And we are going to take it into a spinal twist. So that means the right knee will travel towards the left side. Many of us will use a pillow for support. So I'm just going to switch around so that you do have a visual. With that right knee at a roughly a 90-degree angle, we're going to twist it across to the left side. You might like to place a pillow underneath your right knee, shin, and foot. But I want you to roll all the way onto your left side to begin, so that your whole right hip is now stacked on top of the left hip. And once you've created that contact of right hip stacking left hip, then you'll allow the whole right shoulder to fall open to the right side, the right arm to fall open. And you might even turn your head to look to the right. If it does feel a little bit grippy for your lower back, just go ahead and lift your hips up and slide them a little bit to the right side. But I want this twist to feel really good, really supported. As I mentioned earlier, my teacher asks, could you hold this pose for 20 minutes? If the answer is no, we need to soften a little bit out. We need to take some more support, blankets, pillows, books, whatever you have. And in this posture, I'm going to ask you to please do close the eyes down. And I want you to imagine that the breath is coming in through the top of the head and spiraling all the way down the spine, all the way down to the left foot. And as you breathe out, it's traveling all the way up from the left foot, left leg, spine, and up to the top of the head. It doesn't matter how fast or slow you're breathing. But follow the breath as it spirals all the way down. And all the way back up. You might begin to associate that exhale breath as a bit of a release, a bit of a cleansing, like it's purifying your nervous system. That inhale breath, a sense of receptivity. Breath in, nourishment in, healing in. The posture becoming as close to perfect as is available when the effort of achieving it vanishes. Let us slowly begin to unravel. Come back into the center, taking as much time as you need. And this time will take just a little bit of movement to release that out. So we'll draw the two knees into the chest, placing both hands on the two knees and beginning with small circles, but actually feeling as the skin of the hip, the bum, and the lower back all roll around as they each make contact and then peel away. And then switch the direction of those circles. So it's not just about getting the movement done. Notice the skin makes contact as weight gets heavier in one part of the pelvis and then the other. Draw the knees into the chest. If it feels good, lift the head and shoulders up. Give yourself a bit of a hug. And then gently just rolling to one side to press yourself all the way up to a tall seat. The whole right side of the body feeling a little bit more free now as we move into the left side. So we begin with left shin crossing over right shin, but do keep the shins and ankles further away from your pelvis than a normal cross-leg seat. And you'll start to just walk the hands forward, lift the side ribs, and just hinge a little bit forward for a moment. Relax the jaw, shake it about, relax the neck, and then take your time to just melt forward. I really like to spin my palms up, but if you need to take support of your pillow, block, bolster, fists, anything that you have, please feel free. So as we move into the second side, I'll cue a little bit less. Yeah. So there's really no right or wrong. There's allowing whatever is coming up for you. So we should understand that the two sides rarely look or feel the same. We should invite the same sense of curiosity in the second side as we so eagerly found in the first. The challenge here, where could I let go a little bit more? Just as we tried unclenching the jaw previously, can you imagine the hip joints coming unclenched? If you need to adjust your seat, feel free. And notice how much more space is available. Go ahead and move into that space. Staying for 3 more full breaths in. On the complete breath out, what more could I let go of? And then slowly walking your hands in, your torso up just a little bit so we can twist across towards your right side. So your sternum is over top of your right knee. And then you'll walk the hands a little bit away from you, like in the direction of, say, 2 o'clock. Slide that left hand further as you anchor back down into your left outer hip. So we want that to press down heavy as we walk the left hand away, and you feel all the space, or for me, a little bit of stickiness there in the lower back and the side waist. And whenever you find parts of the body that feel particularly resistant or stiff, sticky, the challenge is not to push through and fight it, but instead to send breath into that space of resistance. And then imagine yourself breathing resistance out as you exhale, and then just starting to move into it. Rather than push the resistance or stiffness away, move inside of it. And then slowly begin to walk yourself back to center, peeling yourself back. So again, option to keep the legs as they are, or just slide so the left knee stacks on top of the right knee. You do want to feel that both of your sit bones, your buttock bones, are grounded. And if that's not happening, you might have to place a blanket or a t-shirt. And then like fingertips or palm of hand, just reaching a little away from you. But then find the left arm so it almost rests on the left ear. And without the intention of touching the wall far away from you, I just want you to start to lean in until you feel the first bit of sensation, like the skin beginning to stretch and pull. And then stay in that point for just a few breaths. And right away, you'll notice as you allow yourself the freedom to just be here, then more space becomes available. And you might slide the fingers further away, or you might allow yourself to lean down. And again here, there's going to be quite a lot of noticeable sensations rising. And it's what we do in response to those sensations. There's never a need to stay in a point of pain, but learning to get a little bit comfortable with being uncomfortable. This is a very valuable lesson that we can learn on the yoga mat that we can carry into our everyday life. So for me right now, my left shoulder feels quite hot. I feel a lot of tingling in my left fingers. And if I was feeling this in a normal day, I would just adjust, I would fix myself, because I would think that something needs fixing. But in the yin yoga practice, we choose to observe these sensations with a sense of curiosity. There's a blockage somewhere in this chain, and meaning that the energy isn't able to flow freely. And so, am I causing myself harm or pain? Well, the answer is no. Then I'm going to choose to stay and sit in that heat and sit in that uncomfortable. And if I need to, I'll release gently and maybe come back. Maybe I'll come back with new eyes, new feeling, new sense of acceptance. And again, slowly coming up. When you arrive at the top, just give yourself a full breath in. I recommend opening the mouth and kind of sighing out. And you can unravel the legs. You'll bring yourself to lying down on the back. This time, maybe have that pillow nearby so you can move into your twist when we're ready for it. So you lie down on your back and just close down the eyes. There's nothing to do here. Just settle into complete stillness. If you can, keep the legs open and straight and take up as much space as you can. And we're going to move towards that half happy baby shape. I know this one's a little bit of a weird one, so by all means, if you want to pop your head up, I can show you what it will look like. The left knee will be wider than the left rib. The left heel will stack on top of the left knee. And we use the left hand to just gently assist, left knee down, left toes back. It doesn't need to look like this, but just so we get a better idea or a visual. So let us all start by drawing the left knee towards the chest. And you can go ahead and slide the left hand up the outer calf or outer ankle. Like you were trying to take that left leg straight, it won't go there. We want to feel really relaxed and soft in the back of the head and the back of the shoulders. And remember, if that right leg is hoisting up, go ahead, just bend it and place the foot flat so that you can keep your hips really even on the mat or on the blanket beneath you. Now there's a sense of wanting to go anywhere but where you are in a pose like this. And so here the challenge is accepting wherever you are. Even though I've cued it 100 times already, don't worry about if your body looks like my words describe. I want to know, what's that feel like inside? I want to know if you can set down the thoughts about how it looks or even feels. And can you settle in for a sense of ease, a rest, a relief? I want to know if the breath is still softly rising and falling. Gently release the left foot. Bring the left knee so that it stacks again over the left hip. And you'll be twisting your left knee across to the right side, maybe taking support of the pillow underneath your left knee. But if you support the knee, I want you to think of supporting the whole shin and the whole foot as well. Try to roll all the way over so you're lying on your whole right side of the body, the left hip stacking on top of the right. And then you can rest your head and extend your left arm out and soften the left shoulder. And if again you find this is a little grippy in your lower back, try to lift your bum and just shift your hips and your bum backwards a little bit towards the left side of your mat. And then the arms are really extending out to the sides, the palms are spiraled up. And you get to feel this really beautiful expansiveness from the heart. Now I'm sure there's a lot of sensation throughout the entire body right now. But can we instead direct our attention to a similar breath as we found before. This time, we reverse it. Imagine as if you're sending breath in on an inhale up from the right foot, up the whole torso, up through the crown of the head. And as you breathe out, breath traveling all the way back down to the face, to the spine, to the legs, to the toes. Again, that breath is inhaling from feet to head and exhaling head to feet. Allow the breath to keep the attention of the mind. Visualize as it travels up and down the length of the body, like a hot shower cleansing you. If there's any gripping, any holding left along the left side of the body, can you give yourself permission to release that now? To let it go? And then slowly unraveling back to center, readjusting so that your whole body is taking up as much space as it can, extending straight out over your mat. And give yourself a big full body stretch, maybe even interlace the fingers and stretch them back overhead. Feel like the hands and the toes are being pulled further apart, but try now to draw your front ribs down to press into your back ribs to press down into the floor beneath you. Stretch more with the toes, stretch longer with the fingers. Say one more breath. And then guiding the hands towards the knees towards the chest. This time, we're going to make individual circles with the knees. So the knees open and press forward. They draw together and back into the chest. And as you experience the thigh bone, the femur, rolling around each of the two hip sockets, you experience the pelvic bowl and the skin rocking forward and back. We become more mindful in our movement as we step away from the thinking mind. And our final posture here, I'm going to give you two choices. For those of you that have a wall very nearby and very accessible, you will find it's a little more comfortable. So I'll show you there as well, if I can't see you in the video. Otherwise, we're going to have our legs extended up to the ceiling. They don't need to be straight. They don't need to be resting all the way over the hips. And as long as you don't have any lower back, lumbar, spine disc injuries, then we could even place a couple of those pillows underneath the lower back, underneath the hips. So in order to get there, we would place the feet flat, lift the hips like a bridge or a hip thrust, and then slide the pillows under the pelvis. Rest the hips down. And then when you're ready, you can take the legs up. So there's quite a number of options for you. Again, just don't put anything under your pelvis if you have any lumbar disc issues. And again, a little bit more supportive and comfy is with the legs up the wall. So if you wanted to try up the wall, you do want to find your whole bum pressing against the wall. I like to start lying on one side and then sweep the legs up and let the legs be quite heavy in the hip socket, wherever you are. If you don't have a wall and you're getting a little bit fatigued, you could take the legs to rest on the edge of the sofa. It's okay. Now you might choose to keep the hands resting down by the hip or out to the sides or even up overhead. But I want you to feel really supported. And if you find yourself fighting to keep the legs up, rather, let's release the feet back down to the floor so that you can really settle in. Here, we're feeling for the thigh bone drop a little heavier into the pelvic bowl. We're inviting any sort of stagnant or held energy around the feet, the ankles, the lower legs, and the knees. We're inviting that to drop down. Come actually closer now towards the heart so the heart can pump it out. This is also really great if you've spent a lot of time on your feet, or you've had a big run or ride and there's a lot of lactic acid in the legs. You can rest your hands down. However you feel supported. Legs up the wall pose is my mom's favorite. I'll just from time to time get a message from her that said, "Oh, I was feeling so sore. I just laid right down in the middle of the hallway and put my legs," she does say ass, "up the wall." Excuse me, PG. Right up the wall. And now you take your time to slowly, slowly lower yourself back down. If you have legs on wall, roll them to one side first. So you're lying on one side of the body for a couple of breaths. And then we'll finish in a final Shavasana. This will be very important at the end of this style of practice. You might place one or even two pillows underneath the back of the knees. You might take that blanket and get really warm and cozy. But you want to feel like it's kind of heavy. Yeah, like a really heavy blankie, an extra pillow on your hips or on your chest even, so that you feel a bit of weight on your body. And then close down the eyes. And just allow yourself to pause. So you can lie all the way down, take that comfy blanket and cover up. Maybe a pillow under your knees or on your belly or your chest, but you want to feel like there's some weight there. This this sense of weight on, particularly on our front side of our body, gives us a really nice sense of and a sense of safe security that we all might need in these times. There's nothing left to do. There's no particular rhythm for your breath. You might start to invite the exhale breath just a little bit longer than the inhale breath. The aim of this yoga is to eliminate the control that the material nature exerts over the human spirit, to rediscover through introspective practice the still point of the turning world. As we began to uncover a quote from Viktor Frankl earlier, between stimulus and response, there's space. And in that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. It's that space is what we're learning to access more often, more effortlessly through these styles of practice. And then when we step out of the practice, we step away from this space, we're challenged to access that space amidst the chaos, to pause in presence, and no matter the stimulant, choose our response. Now, it's no easy task, and often this kind of practice will stir up a great deal of unrest within. To challenge this unfamiliar space before allowing us to embody this power and freedom. It's like a one last attempt to hold on to the stuff, to hold on to the uncomfortable, the chaos, the stress, the disempowering belief that we know too well. And on the other side of that lies the freedom of the unknown possibility. It's waiting for you. It doesn't happen overnight. That's why this is called a practice. Just show up week after week, day after day, breath after breath, and allow the process to happen for you. Do find just a little movement again in your fingers, your toes, your wrists or ankles. Maybe your head, neck. Maybe you need that full body stretch once again. Any movement that your body is intuitively calling for, listen to that. And then take your time to make your way lying on one side of the body. Pausing for a moment in presence. A moment in deep appreciation and gratitude. Just before you press yourself up, perhaps choosing to leave something behind, to let go of something, just leave it here. And when you are ready to press yourself up, perhaps choosing who you're pressing yourself up into be this evening. This sense of calm, the sense of ease, the sense of peace. Can we access this more effortlessly, more often? As we did at the beginning of the practice, take a deep breath and reach the arms all the way up. Bringing those two palms to meet and guiding them down in front of the heart, the right and left sides of the body, brain, and energy coming together. The equal and opposite, the polarities that exist within us all coming into union, into balance through these practices. As always, it's such an honor to guide you through these practices. Satnam. Namaste. Thank you again so much. Sharing your practice. I will just try